We're here today to talk with Chief Toby Lewis of Taylorsville Police Department and ask him some questions from a officer's point of view and a supervisor's point of view and a chief's point of view. Thanks for being with us today, Chief Lewis.
It's my pleasure.
I guess my first question to you would be, talk to me a little bit about the adrenaline rush that you as a police officer feel and find and see, and the things you've noticed over your career and how it relates to your ability to make decisions during a pursuit.
I can remember back to some of my first pursuits, just being a young officer on the police force, and your whole thing is that fight or flight syndrome that you hear so much about, and your situation is you're going to go get that person. They've kind of wronged you as a law enforcement officer. They should have respected you better. And you're keyed on going after that individual. Your tunnel vision, whether you perceive it at that point in time or not, you have tunnel vision. You're after that one thing, and that's that person that just fled from you. And you get so keyed up that when you get to that person, you just want to get them into custody. However it takes, whatever it takes, you want to get them into custody. And you don't care what gets in your way, you're going to get that person.
As a chief and a supervisor, how do you handle your officer's emotion during a pursuit situation?
From the standpoint as a supervisor or a chief, monitoring a pursuit, it's kind of like my situation is to bring them back to reality, tone them back down. You hear officers that get keyed up. You can hear it expressed in their voice. On the radio, they do not sound like they normally would. They're not calm as they normally are doing a regular traffic stop. You hear that adrenaline kick in, and it helps to bring a calming voice back to them. Let's bring a reality check. How's traffic flow? What's the weather like out there right now? Why are you after this person for? And bringing some reality questions back to them as a supervisor to bring thought to them. Is this worth pursuing or not at that point? Or is the end result worth the justification of having that pursuit?
As a supervisor monitoring a pursuit, how do you control your emotions?
It becomes difficult too at times. You're hearing that your officer is out there and you know that they're after this person for a reason, and it's a little bit easier because you're sitting back in a controlled environment versus being out there in a car running at 100+ miles an hour. Sometimes as a supervisor, you're the one trying to get to them to assist them too, though. And you're still trying to calm yourself down, and it's difficult. Both of you need to think back to reality situation here. Is the justification of the pursuit there? What has this person done as far as that goes? Should we really be pursuing this person? Is this somebody that is a known person to us that we've had 15 times in the past that we know we're going to see again tomorrow? Or is this somebody that is an unknown to us that has just robbed a bank? We have no idea as to who this person is, and we don't know where they're going to or who they're going to hurt next. And we have to look at reality to that. And to stay calm in that type of situation is very difficult at times, even for a supervisor standpoint, because what you're doing is you're trying to respond as a backup, but you're also trying to keep reality. Is this something that we need to be doing or not?
I know that the Taylorsville Police Department and you have recently adopted the Kentucky League of Cities model pursuit policy. How did you relay this information to your officers, and is it something that you as a supervisor do on a routine basis to infuse in them the changes in the thought processes regarding pursuits?
We have some very level-headed officers. Most of our officers here have at least 14 years of experience with the Taylorsville Police Department. They've been through the rookie stages already, and we're very fortunate for that. And the way that we implemented the policy here is we took the Kentucky model policy. I had the lieutenant to go back through and to form that to Taylorsville to fit to us, if you will. And then we relayed copies of that out to each of the officers. And then we sat down and we went through that. And basically we have a felony-only pursuit policy, and it has to be a higher level than just, let me give you an example. Stealing the registration plate is a felony, okay? We're not going to pursue somebody for theft of a registration plate. However, we have to look at what type of felony that we're looking at. Is this someone that had just stabbed his entire family and is fleeing at that point? Then that may be what we will pursue. However, theft of a registration plate, we're not going to pursue even though that it is a felony. I think that it was. Most of the officers have been through this and they know the consequences. They know that you can be sued civilly for the outcome if a pursuit goes bad. And most of these people are at stages in their career. We even have one officer that is retired already and started a second career in law enforcement, and they don't want to lose their homes and stuff over a bad decision. So at that point, I think that you're hitting very level-headed decisions with the officers that we have. And by sitting down and going over the model policy and telling them this is what we're now implementing, we asked them for questions in regards to it, and none of them had questions. They understood why we were doing what we were doing. They've been through it. They've seen other officers throughout their careers that have been sued over bad pursuits or crashes.
If you could give a young deputy sheriff or a young rookie police officer one piece of advice regarding emergency driving and pursuit situations, what one piece of advice would that be?
Slow down and think about the car that you're passing as being your family. You want to get there to help someone, but if you don't get there, you're not helping anybody. And the crew that was going to help the accident that you were responding to, or to the people that were in distress that you were responding to, part of that same crew is now going to be diverted to come and help you because you have been involved in a crash, or due to the fact that you may have caused someone else to crash. Part of those now emergency response teams that were responding to the incident you were originally going to are now coming to render aid to you and or the people that you may have been involved in a crash at. Respond in a safe manner, and think about the cars that you're passing as being your own family. Do you want to put them at risk?
Chief Lewis, thanks so much for your time, and I want to thank you on behalf of Kentucky League of Cities and KCO for allowing us to use your officers in the development of these scenarios in this film. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.